To view the full game, the screen has to be set to 600 by 600. And we have all the global variables up here, which set lives equal to 2, score 0, enemies is an array, which values are inputted into later, bullets is an array too. This controls enemy size here, t equal to 0. This is for a delay when hit. Shoot is equal to false, so this controls like if the player shoots. X and Y are for the ships that are in the game, like the player in the game itself. Number of stars is for the background. Current scene is for the current scene. Character X, character Y, ship X, and ship Y are for the X and Ys of these ships here and in the choice screen right here. Ship speed random is for this to move these back and forth here. Var F is the font, which I found in Con. Ship counter is 0, which is how you select the ship here. Move X1 and move X2 are for the bitmojis to appear on and off the screen later on in the code. Length times 1 is the time the timer is run for. Last 0 is part of the timer, and then var over 1 turns off shooting when the game ends. So first we have the draw a tie function, which is the ship right here. This is all the code that goes along with it. And then X-wing function, which draws the X-wing right here. This is all the code that goes along with that. Then this is for the moving star backgrounds with the constructors here. Then this is the prototype, which all the new ones are made off of. And then this for loop will push a new value into this array right here, as long as I is less than number of stars, which is 150. So there's 150 stars on screen right now. Right here is the con button, the constructor for that, and then here's the prototype, which all the buttons are built off of. This is checking to see if the mouse is inside the button. Then here's the first button, which changes scene, change of scene. And the buttons, so they're all for different scenes or different screens within the game because they have to have different X locations, so it makes sense. Right here, button 4 is a ship counter, and button 5 is a ship counter also, which change the scene. So if I press this, I should think ship counter changes to 2, and then this one is 1. Button 5 changes the scene, and then mouse clicked. This keeps it so the only buttons that can be clicked are, so on scene 0 are these two, scene 1 are these two, and scene 3, which is the how to play, is this one. Then we have the timer, so the timer runs for a number of milliseconds. And then if the number of milliseconds is greater than last plus 1,000, hit is equal to true, then hit is equal to false. So that gives it a little bit of a delay, so you can kind of tell when you're in the game if you've been hit. So it's running a little slow right now, but right here you can see the ship disappear for a second to give you a little bit of an indicator that you have been hit. And then if shoot is true, shoot is equal to false, and this allows you to shoot repeatedly, because if that was not in there and shoot was equal to true, you could press the up arrow to shoot once, but then after that you could only shoot once in the whole game. Game stats is for the stats within the game on the top corner. Var player, so this is the speed right here to determine it, which is a variable above, which is changed by moving left and right. We can constrain the X values to keep it on the screen. And then we draw the ship if hit is equal to false and lives are greater than 0. So if lives are less than 0, the ship is not drawn. And this is the ship counter right here. So if ship counter is equal to 1, we'll draw the TIE fighter, and then if it's 0, it will draw that in case you forget to click a ship. And then here this draws the X-wing right here. Then if hit timer is true, so that gives it a little bit of a delay so the player can see that they have been hit, because sometimes it's hard to tell. This just draws the enemy, so this is the enemy ship, and this draws the bullet, so this is the enemy ship design and this is the bullet design. And then this creates the random enemy locations, speed, or the random enemy locations throughout. And then so if this control is right here, if a bullet hits an enemy, so if a bullet hits an enemy here, indexed by I at the X and Y of the constructor, the bullet will be spliced, so it will remove a value from the array. because all the bullets are within a single array. So splicing it removes it from the array. So when it's hit, it moves off screen. And score plus 0, or score equals score plus 10, which continues to add to the score, times over, which plays a role later in the game. So when, because initially we had an issue where you could keep on shooting even when the game was over, but we did times over. So when the game is over, the score will remain the same because over changes to 0. Because right now it's 1, and then changes to 0 later on. Down here, this is checking to see the distance, which we found in the con documentation, to determine if an enemy ship hits you. So it checks to see if it checks to see a distance between the x and y, which is the ship's coordinates, which is the player's coordinates, and then enemies indexed by I, dot x and dot y, which are the constructors of the other one, of the enemy function. And then if it's false, then xp is equal to 0, which momentarily stops the ship. Y if you go down by 1, which you can see in the top. Hit is equal to true, and it delays the ship. It also moves the ship to another random position within the game. And this one right here, this area. This moves enemies like from off the screen back onto the screen in a random location, towards the top of the screen, and then anywhere across the screen as well. Right here, so if score is equal to 300, or if score divided by 300 is 0, so that's if score divided by 300 and the remainder is 0. Enemy speed will become 6 because it's initially 3, and then if it's 600, enemy speed will become 9. Bullet control, this just controls the bullets, creating them or pushing new values into the array, or drawing the bullets with the values of the array and the constructor. And then if shoot is true, the timer, so you can shoot and then you can shoot again. New enemy, this is just an enemy constructor down here. Then this is the key codes, so to move left and right, because that's, when using the keyboard, that's the only key code you actually need within the game. Well, that as well as the shoot, but those are the ones in here. Then down here, if currency in it is equal to 0, like these numbers right here are for controller compatibility, which you can have on, but you also don't have to have it on because the game functions just as well without it, but it is more enjoyable to play with controller. So if key is released, it stops speed. So key code 39 and 37 are left and right arrow, so speed is equal to 0. And then if key code is equal to 38 and released, then it'll shoot true, and it'll create a new bullet with this constructor right here, which then uses the code up here to create new bullets at a given position. So it pushes new bullets right here into the array above. So then here is just my drop bitmoji with all the functions inside of it, which contain different parts of the design. And here they all come together. This is Matt's bitmoji right here. Then we just have a start screen. So this is just like the text, the ship's moving back and forth, the drawing, and that's that. Then bitmoji appears in the game because we need to feature the bitmojis within the game, and the game's not running too well, but if it was running, I would show you. But my bitmoji appears when score is greater than 400, so it appears at 410. It draws the bitmoji and says "nice job," and then it has the x is equal, or is the x is 471 plus move x1, which is originally 0, and then if scores greater than or equal to 500, move x1 becomes 500, which moves it off screen. So it's only there for a short time. And then the same thing with Matt's bitmoji down here. If score is 600, his will appear, and then if it's greater than 600, it'll appear, and then if its score is greater than 700, it'll move off screen as well. Here's the game over function, which stops shooting on the back of the screen, which was an issue before, but we fixed that. Then we have the background, the fill for the words, the font, size, the text, score plus score, or score, like the words of score plus the variable score, which gives you the C at the end, which tells you your score. The star background, of course, and the how to play function, which is a bunch of text saying how to do it. a button, and then the Bitmojis, and the game scene also right here, which has the timer, and then all of the functions above. Right here is spaceship choice, which just has the buttons, the spaceships, the background, of course, and then the text. And then all these functions are within the draw function at their correct scenes. And then there's the background, of course, to keep everything moving and looking good. And then right here, if lives equal to 0, stars are equal to false, so it turns off the game, and then game is over.